Hey everyone, Sergio here with the Rideshare Guy. What do we say on Show Me the Money Club? Work smarter, not harder. If you aren't using the Solo app, which I have been for the past year and a half, you may be working a lot harder than you need to. Let's change that. Download the app, link your account where you can manage your income, track your expenses, as well as your taxes. Not only that, but you can plan by optimizing your time, make more money, and even guarantee your daily pay with guaranteed earnings. Download the Solo app today. Begin to work smarter, not harder. Link is in the description. Let's get back to it.
Are you going to unionize? Are you going to join a union if you have the option?
Question.
You know what?
First
I got so many emails.
I want to hold on. First off, I want to know in chat. Put in the chat. Are you or would you join a union if it was offered to you in your area? Put in the comments. Let us know. All right, Sergio, go ahead.
I got so many emails to go, Serge, are you signing? Are you going to join the union? I'm like, first of all, what each one does is up to them, right? Look, man, we do our surveys here. Our surveys indicate people want to stay independent contractors. Okay, period. Although, look, I do understand why unions are necessary, because the trend of earnings, safety, unjust deactivations, all that shit is not going in the right direction, Chris. I mean, that's a given, right? If it's going to be a union that could sit on the table, with these companies and start negotiating some reasonable, and I'm saying reasonable because I'm fair for both sides, some reasonable, and put some reasonable demands on the table, I'm for it. Okay. So in California, it's SEIU. But then Uber, you remember that they passed the SB 1371, which lowered the uninsured and underinsured motorist requirements on Uber. That's when they agreed to have, I think it's 1140, HB 1140, for rideshare drivers to unionize. But then they put a lot of restrictions on it. So the laws give rideshare drivers access to contact information for fellow drivers. Now, that's a big deal because Uber has never released that, saying it's a trade secret, right? That's why when we had these strikes, remember these strikes that only 40 people show up? If we had that, I'll bet you like thousands of people would have shown up to those strikes. Well, now they have to release that. And in California, union must show support from at least 10% of active drivers to qualify. I think they will get that. And SEIU got there. So in fact, they have this is at LAX, they have a tent right at the queue, in front of the queue at LAX. So I'm telling you, I mean, if it's going to get things better, I'm for it.
Yep. Well, in the chat, at least, it looks like actually slightly more towards yes from the ones I've been seeing. There were quite a few no's, but there were more yeses. So it definitely seems like that. I think we'll have to put a poll on our page,
we should,
on our community page, just to see what people are going to say. But yes, so yeah, it's looking like it's going to move even further. And then I think you got another screenshot right here talking. Yeah. I don't know if you want to put anything on here.
So earlier, the Gig Workers Union, which is affiliated with SEIU, cleared a legal hurdle by demonstrating that at least 10% of active rideshare drivers supported union representation. California Gig Workers Union must then demonstrate that at least 30%, this is all the shit that Uber put in there, right, for the unionization to happen. CGWU must then demonstrate that at least 30% of active drivers have chosen the union as their representative, meaning SEIU. So first you have to collect the 10%, then 30% out of that 10% has to say, yes, I want SEIU to represent California.
No. It's 10% of active drivers support it. And then they have to demonstrate that at least 30% of active drivers have chosen that. So it's still all of active drivers. So if you have 1 million drivers, you're talking about 10%, which is 100,000. Then you're talking about 30%, which is 300,000.
Yeah. Well, but for the SEIU to represent CGWU. So Massachusetts is on that, track, which they have. I think we talked about that, right? They got the unionization rates. Illinois is on that track. So look, I mean, I blame the companies for this, bro. Is they cut so much that the people just kind of go, hey, well, I want to drive, but then What can I do? But then you guys have to think of the other side of the coin, okay? The other side of the coin is if you unionize and you have collective bargaining rights and you're sitting at the table, Uber may restrict your app usage. You may not. You may lose some of that flexibility. You may lose some of that freedom that you can. And that happened in New York City, by the way. You know, they would not allow people to turn the app on at certain hours when there's oversupply. So you guys have to deal with that as well. So don't just think, oh, yeah, union, I'm going to swim in cash. It's not going to be that easy. So you guys have to understand the pros and cons of this.
Yeah. You know, I'm still on the fence. I would look at it either way. I would have to see, you know, kind of the ins and outs of everything and, you know, kind of what they're doing. But when it comes down to it, you know, if it benefits drivers and helps them get ahead instead of what has been happening over the last several years, where it's just slowly going down and down and down, boiling the frog and slowly, you know, I think it's good. So we'll see what happens. But then it's the flip side. What are they going to try to do to offset that? And are they going to restrict drivers? Are they going to do, you know, different things? So, you know, it's this balancing game. And unfortunately, drivers are stuck in the middle with between a rock and a hard place. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that last comment. Union always end up benefiting the big companies. In what world are you talking about, bro? You know, with the auto workers union, with all that stuff, you know, they don't benefit any of that stuff. But without unions, without strikes, a lot of the workers in this country wouldn't have survived, to be perfectly honest with you. But then if you look at the trend of unions or unionization in this country has been declining, right? You know, most people are not in a union anymore. They used to be 20, 30 years ago, 30% of the workforce was. Now it's like 8-9% of the workforce is in a union. But trust me, and again, I don't know what shape, what kind of, is this going to be a traditional union with dues and things like that, that when you go on strike, they can supply you with your living costs while you're on strike and things like that. So I need to study it a little bit more and find out a little bit more. But
yeah, because this is a much different kind. That's why it's one of those things, like it's all up in the air. You don't really know, and it's still just talk about. It's not, you know, action or anything that you can really see. So it'll be interesting though how things play out that way.
All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you'll be notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.